I just feel really bad for Jafar because I feel like Jafar worked
Yeah.
too hard
Too
for
hard.
this movie, and he didn't get the film that he deserved to be in.
Jafar, 100%. Like I can't say anything bad about him. Everything that he nailed it. Like he did everything perfect.
This is it. That's what they were preaching. We are here to tell the real story of Michael Jackson. There's not, you're going to see nothing like it. So that's what I was holding on to. I was like, right, whatever you guys decide to tell us about, you're going to give us the real. You're going to really go in and tell us about who this man is, because, you know, he has lived a very complicated life. And I don't think Joe's even is a fully bad person. I think he's
No.
complicated like everyone else is.
You understand why Janet Jackson or Paris Jackson wasn't really down for the movie. I don't know if it was for those reasons, but yeah, I think like
I think
uh,
it's for those reasons.
I
I think
think
it's
if
for
it's
those
for the
reasons.
visa, I totally agree because. Alright, welcome to Better Self Podcast. We are back again with a brand new episode, but today we're gonna talk about Michael Jackson again. I know like you've been a lot of Michael Jackson episode lately. Today I have Steven GeekFACE. So we're gonna talk about Michael Jackson movie. Just so you guys know, he's a Michael Jackson fan as well, but he's somebody actually, the reason why I choose him because he is actually a movie critic. So he make a lot of critique about movie. He actually keep it real. We don't want to talk about no BS. We're going to put our feeling about Michael Jackson aside. I just going to go straight to the point. So Steve, what's up? How's Berlin? Was it good?
Yeah, man, it was a great experience. I forgot at the being there, I forgot how much the love from MJ fans feels, like being surrounded with people who have the same love for this particular person. And yeah, it was great. Everyone was friendly. The vibe was good. There was like after parties. It was a good celebration. It's a good celebration for Michael. Besides the film, as an
Yeah.
experience, it was fantastic.
Yeah, I know. How long you been doing like review for like movies? Like you've been doing that
Oh,
for a long
it's
time?
about 6 years now. It'll be 6 years
6 years.
now. Yeah,
So the
yeah.
movie's your thing. You know what is good, what is
Oh,
bad, or
yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah.
All right, we're just gonna go straight to the point. Keep it real. What do you think about the movie, like in general? I think we'd have to break it
I
down to many
think it.
parts.
Okay. I'll keep it. I'll keep it very simple. It is a movie that has a fantastic cast, especially when it comes to its lead, but a very mediocre biopic that has a very surface level storytelling.
Hmm. But do you think like they actually explain Michael Jackson life properly? Because to be honest with you, if I were to talk about myself, the fact I watch like Jackson American Dream,
Dream. Yeah.
it put a standard so high.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
see what I mean?
Even
That's
though.
the problem. It's hard for people who actually know Michael. I mean, for Michael Jackson fan that watch that movie many times, it's not easy because every time I watch, I'm like, are they gonna do things that we saw there? We forget that that was a movie as well. That wasn't even like reality. That was just like a movie. So we're trying to compare back to back because we have so much details during the Michael Jackson American Dream. So
I mean,
when you was watching that, yeah.
me personally, I never tried to compare the two because,
Mm,
first of all, the American Dream was a TV special, so it was like two parts. I think everyone forgets that it was like there was like part one, and then the
mm,
following week it was part two. It was very very long. If you try and watch it in one setting, it's almost like 5 to 6 hours. It's very
mm.
very long. So I never compared the two because obviously you can tell more in a TV series than you telling into a film. So I already knew going in because I saw the running time, 2 hours. I was like, right, you're probably not going to tell the whole story because first of all, Michael's story is large. You can spend 2 hours on just 1 year of his life. There was that much that happens in his life.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking, right, what story are you going to tell in this movie? Even though I know you're not going to cover everything, but what's the main skeleton of this story? What's the plot that you're going to follow from A to B and that the audience is going to, engage with and get a glimpse into who Michael Jackson and try to make him as human as possible because obviously many people see him as like this like global superstar, almost godlike person, and you want to bring him back down to earth. So that's what I was going in looking forward to. And I said, okay, if you're not going to give me at least that, give me performances, let me feel something. Let me, because we've heard the stories. Michael saying, I had a really terrible childhood. My life was sad. I was very sad for so many years, even during Thriller. And I wanted to see that. I said, okay, make me feel something. Let me understand who this person is, besides all the glitz and the glam and all the stardom and the fame. Let's make him relatable to human among us type of way. That's what I was going into the movie. So I try not to compare it to anything else. I was like, please be better than Man in the Mirror movie. At least be better than that. I
Oh yeah,
mean,
of course, of course, of
the
course.
bar is low for that. Like, at least be better than that. So that's how I was
Did you
going in. But
did you get that?
what
Honestly,
what did I
did you
get?
get your
Did I get it was
expectation?
better
Yeah.
than Man in the Mirror?
No, Man in the Mirror, of course, it's gonna be better than that. Don't try to be slick. Of course, it's gonna be better than that. But was it better than your expectation? Like,
It didn't meet them, unfortunately.
what was you more
Um,
disappointed about?
I was more disappointed with, okay, Joe is when, before the film came out, because obviously you're doing research, you're preparing for yourself to review a movie, you're doing research, on the actors, on the directors, you are watching interviews, and many of the interviews that they were talking about before the film come out, before even like a year back, in interviews, Antoine Fuqua was talking about, right, we want to make sure we're going to tell the whole truth. We're not holding back. We're going to give you the real Michael Jackson. That's what they were preaching. Before we heard about they had to do the reshoots because of the allegations and the whole legal complications of it. That's what they were preaching. We are here to tell the real story of Michael Jackson. You're going to see nothing like it. So that's what I was holding on to. I was like, right, whatever you guys decide to tell us about, you're going to give us the real. You're going to really go in and tell us about who this man is, because, he has lived a very complicated life and people have misjudged, this particular person. So you're going to give us the real so we can understand him more, understand how he works, understand why does he, why are children so important to him? Why is it important that he wants to give love back into the world? Like, we want to know these things. What did he go through? What challenged him? What brought his creativeness into the atmosphere? What was it that made him who he was? We want to find out. And we didn't get that. We didn't get that at all in this movie. They gave us the very shallow, safe, um, almost what people are kind of already know about Michael. And then they almost create like a myth in this movie. It was almost like he wasn't a real person. And this is the myth that unfortunately some of the
Yeah,
fans have
I think
created.
they push it too much. When it was like, oh, I know like his mother used to tell him like, you're different. Of course he was a different person, but they make him less like, I don't know. I was talking to Janice the other day. She told me like they make he looks like I forgot the term for that she used. Autistic. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the term
yeah,
that she used.
definitely
Yeah,
definitely on the
yeah,
spectrum.
and that's what she would tell me. But it's like I feel like, and one thing as well, like they make the Motown move so easy. They make the Berry Gordy, when they started in the Jackson 5, when they moved to
Yeah.
Motown, it wasn't easy though. They used to
No.
struggle. You know what? I was more disappointed. I like Joe Jackson's one of my favorite Jackson, but like for the first time when I watched that movie, I hate him. Like, but I don't know. He was a tough guy, but they make him look so evil. And I don't
Yeah,
know if
I
this,
didn't.
I don't know if this movie was gonna be done if he was alive. I don't think this was gonna happen.
I see. That's another thing I had issue with, because
It was too much.
going back to the interviews that I was watching, Coleman Domingo, who plays Joe Jackson, kept saying, obviously everyone has this idea of who Joe Jackson is because of stuff we've heard from Michael and from other people, that he was this just, one-dimensional abusive dad, and didn't care about his children, cared about money. And he was like, I want to show the real Joe Jackson. I want to show why does he do certain things. They
No,
said
they
all this in
failed.
the interview, and then in the film, you give us exactly what people think of Joe,
Yeah,
and
it's too
even
much
more.
because I mean the thing is we know as Black people, most of our parents, most of us actually we grew up in an environment where The beating up, the all the thing was there.
Yeah.
Some same family, it was going too far, abusing. Joe used to abuse his kid. We understand that it was really
Hmm.
tough, but it was still the father though.
Yeah.
They make it looks like there was no. They make it looks like there was never been like any emotion and no like nothing. Everything was just dry. And
Yeah.
that's my problem. Like, because we know for fact, if you don't understand Michael Jackson's life, when it comes to his death, we know like if Joe Jackson was still around during the bad time, I think Michael Jackson was still gonna be alive. Since they took his father away from him, that's when people start profiting for him, like trying to mess his life as well. That's the story that we're gonna find out later. I don't know how they're gonna twist it because from the start they make the guy look like an evil, like he just care about like his son was like he was hurting in his head, he had an accident. He was like, I just care about him being on stage. I know it was tough, but I feel like they push it too much. The fact they haven't spent too much time on the struggle, they haven't spent too much time on the Gary Indiana how it was that when they grew up. I wish they had a little bit of struggle during that time, the
Yeah.
ghetto, people,
Just to
the
show
working, and the move when they moved to LA. We didn't have that. We only have they make it look like Motown was so easy to sign up.
yeah, and even that, like obviously the average audience probably doesn't know the story of Michael. Obviously, if you're a
Yeah, they won't
fan,
know that.
you've read books, you've watched documentaries, you watched American Dream. There's so much stuff about Michael that you have digested over the years, and so some of the inaccuracies that in that movie took me out, like them singing songs that they would have sang at Motown before even going to Motown. That threw me off. I said, "Why are you not singing Never Can Say Goodbye, but you haven't been signed to Motown yet? Where did that come from?"
Oh yeah, and then at the start, I don't understand why they start playing "Wanna Be Started" something from the start. I was a bit confused. I thought they should choose a little bit. Yeah, I think there was a lot of detail. The thing is, it's very hard to judge this movie coming from a fan because we know a lot. We know so much details. We know too
Mm.
much to the T-shirt, to
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
It's very, very hard. But for people that don't know Michael Jackson, when they watch the movie, I don't think they're gonna get the full picture. They're gonna feel like the guy was just lucky, small town, boom, I wanna organize this. It wasn't that easy though. I think that's the thing that I miss the most. The family, they haven't really showed the family as it was. They only show when he was beating up Michael Jackson with the belt. But he wasn't really doing that just to Michael, he was doing that to all his brother.
yeah.
They should have, even Tito, when I know they wasn't focused on the Jackson 5, but the Jackson 5 was such a big part of Michael growth. They haven't showed like Joe Jackson was the reason why the Jackson 5 was built and they become big. That was because of him. But in the movie, they make it look like Michael Jackson was the one.
Yeah, without Michael, there is no Jacksons. Like, even just on the creative side, I don't like how they've made Michael, and Michael just did everything by himself. Like, Quincy Jones was just in the studio.
Yo, have you seen how
Um,
Quincy just pop out nowhere? I'm like, Barry Gordy just pop out nowhere.
Yeah,
Even
like
like,
they had no input into Michael's creativeness. It was just like Michael did everything by himself. He sat there and wrote "Beat It," and obviously he did, but there was other people in the studio. Quincy might have like, yo, add this little instrumental to that particular song. Let's add the strings to Billie Jean because I think that's gonna make a difference to the song. Like, everyone played a part, and I think that's a really bad message in general to make people think that yes, you can do a lot of things by yourself. I think that's a real great place to start in life. Like, if you're trying to do something by doing it by yourself. But trust me, no one on this planet, I don't care how great you are, hasn't gone far without a team, without people
yeah,
supporting you
yeah.
and adding input. The right people will push you. Like, and that was another thing. They put like the Jacksons in the background, but the
Yeah.
Jacksons played a huge part in Michael's writing and him producing music. Like the Triumph album, like Can You
Yeah.
Feel It?
There
Jackie
was no
wrote that.
emotion.
Yeah,
They haven't
there was nothing like that. There was
they
nothing
haven't
in that
shown.
film. It was just, yeah, Michael just does everything by himself. And like I said, they're trying. It just feels like they're trying to create like a myth, like a legend of, like, they're trying to rewrite Michael Jackson's legacy.
Mm. It's not good
Which,
because you can't rewrite Michael Jackson legacy by forgetting like the Jackson 5, because what you have to understand, the Jackson 5 was like a massive group that play, like the reason why you have Michael Jackson is because of the Jackson 5. He did everything he have a whole career on the Jackson 5,
yeah,
but they didn't really show that part, the progress when they moved from the father to Barry Gordy with Motown. Motown, I know that part they're trying to show like Motown was close to Michael Jackson. They just show a little bit. Us, we understand it. For general public, they don't
Yeah,
understand the relationship that Michael have with Barry Gordy that became like a father for him. And
yeah.
then the struggle as well when he moved from Barry Gordy to Motown to Quincy Jones. That wasn't just like, okay, I'm moving, I'm gonna work with him. It wasn't like that. There was a lot of things going on, a lot of politics, a lot of that. We didn't have it in a house. The mother, I feel like they skipped the movie too much to go straight to the point. I think they didn't like talking about the Jackson 5 too much. I think for them it was like, how are we gonna go straight to Off the Wall or through to Thriller? I
The
think
thing
that
is,
was the main.
the thing is, if you want to do that, that's fine. But don't show me Jackson 5. Just take it out. Just start from a certain point. And I think for me, the main issue with the film is like we hear that Michael just wants to do things, but we never question why. Why does Michael want to go solo? Why does Michael want to separate from his brothers and his sisters and his dad, and just stand on his own without the Jacksons or the Jackson 5? There's a reason, and one part, well, one major story that I feel was missing in this film was him making the Wiz. I think that plays a huge part of why
And the thing
Michael
is,
goes solo, because
Diana Ross wasn't even in the movie for the first part.
yeah,
Diana
yeah,
Ross,
yeah,
she
yeah.
wasn't ever there. That
I
was a
heard
love of
that
his life as well. Yeah.
yeah, so I did hear that she did have scenes because the actress has come out, Kat Graham. She's come out. She filmed the scenes, but apparently due to legal issues, they had to cut out all her scenes out of the movie. But I think that's a vital moment in Michael's life, because that's the first time Michael steps out from his family. He moves to New York with Latoya. Because you have to remember, when he was in the Jackson 5 and with his dad, they were sheltered. They didn't really have any outside friends. Michael's friends were his brothers. They were sheltered. That's all he knew. So when he went
They
to New
didn't. They didn't.
York,
Yeah.
so when he went to New York and lived away from his family, and he went to places like Studio 54, which inspired Off the Wall, it had like an epiphany. What, I could really do this by myself. I don't need them. I could really, stand on my own as just Michael Jackson. I've had a taste of it because I made some solo albums at Motown, but it's always been the Jacksons and the Jackson 5. I can really do this stuff. And also I thought, because obviously they plan to make a part 2. And if I feel like they're going to film the scene with, we all know the story, Michael gets accused of allegations, and then his sister Latoya comes out and says, I believe these allegations, and everyone was like a betrayal. But we don't have any chemistry between them in this movie to see their bond.
I think because the thing
So
is, what we're gonna have after. Sorry to cut you. What we're gonna have after is too late to build a relationship with his brother, though.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's too late because we didn't show us like them playing together. A little bit of part, but we didn't show that the Jehovah Witness. We didn't see no church.
Yeah,
Like
that's a
the way they've
vital
been
part.
raised.
That's a major part in how Michael saw the world. That
That's what I'm
influencing how
saying.
he,
They
how
didn't
he
say
looks at,
they sh-
there's so much that
how the
they
family
left
was
out.
proud, how the family was proud of them, like being on TV for the first time because they were struggling, like how the mother started building the clothes for them, how Katherine Jackson, she played a lot of role as well, in that family. But I think what they wanted to portray was they wanted to press the relationship between Michael Jackson with his father. They wanted to press that and they make Michael Jackson look. They always go back to Neverland all the time. That's why I didn't like it that much. I know, like Neverland, yes, but they were trying to make Michael Jackson look like you want to escape and you're just dreaming about Neverland, all these things.
Even that, there's no prize to that. There's no like end goal. Like, you keep showing him having this book that he happened to take. It seems as the only thing he took from Gary, Indiana was this book, by the way. And he keeps reading it over the years. And we don't even get to see Neverland at the end. That should have been the end goal. Like, you keep showing me this book, Neverland, Peter Pan, Captain Hook. That should have been at least that should have been like the after credit scene, because loads of films do after credits now. That should
Yeah.
be after credit. At least him at the gate and it says Neverland. And like, okay, it's leading somewhere. Nothing.
Yeah, I think that they haven't really put pressure on that. And the thing is, as you say, and then they talk about the monkey as well. I mean, when Bubble came, there's one part as well that was talking about his nose. I feel like things went a little bit too quick. There was one you have to pay attention because for us we will. I only pay attention when Joe Jackson was calling him like big nose, on
Yeah,
the
when he was
movie.
a child
But
and his nose wasn't that big, but he
yeah,
couldn't
but
big nose. It was just
yeah,
one time.
but that was very quick. That was one time that you call him in the
Yeah,
movie. Can you
yeah,
imagine? How are you gonna pull that one time and then make the guy change his nose and like trying to put it together? It's easy for people to miss that part.
yeah,
Us,
yeah,
we
yeah,
can get
yeah.
it. If he was a more like many time, like okay, let's say big nose, and one day he go to his bedroom watching his nose, he's just like, maybe say to his mom, I don't like the way my dad say my mom, just create some type of
Yeah, yeah,
scenario.
yeah, yeah.
And then when we
Exactly.
go back to, and after that, you go back to like sitting there trying to make surgery, it makes sense. But out of nowhere, we see him sitting there. I want to change my nose. I'm like, what?
Well, the only thing they showed before was he was reading Neverland book again, and he saw the picture of Peter Pan, and he looked at his
Yeah,
nose, and I was like, why does he want to
I
from
didn't
that?
like
Why
it
do he want to
because
change
from
his
that
nose?
you
Yeah,
can get it from 2 point though, the nose and the white Peter Pan. That's why it
yeah,
was because you can't. I, di- I don't think I don't know who wrote that, but that wasn't really a smart move to do. Because people might think like he wanted to look like Peter Pan, nose like that, loving children and being white. That's
yeah.
pretty much that. And the thing is, and then when I was talking about the vitiligo, I think the vitiligo part it was kind of cool, but and again, there was no emotion. There was no like relationship with his mom. I think they should have added a little bit of him because he used to talk to his mom a lot. Talk about his skin, how is he struggle with his mom, and be talking about it. I know he's talked to the doctor, but we needed a little bit because that's very important. Like that's like a part where we need to have more details. But I feel like the movie was pushed more for the music. They really wanted to sell music because it was more like
But
watching concert.
even the music, because realistically, think about it. You have the
Sometimes it was
beginning
too long.
part.
Mm.
Yeah, you have the beginning part with the Jackson Five. Then you have the moment where he's singing in the studio, "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough." And after that, it takes a while before we see music again. It's just
Yeah.
him walking around the house. He's with Bubbles. He's going into the studio. It takes a really long time, almost good 45 minutes before we see a music sequence, or we have Jackson 5 songs playing in the background for montage scenes, but there's no music set pieces for ages. It's just him talking to someone. If he's talking to Catherine, they're watching a movie, or he bumps into Joe when Joe is judging him and saying, you're nothing without us. That's what it was, back and forth. I just feel really bad for Jafar because I feel like Jafar worked
Yeah, yeah.
too hard
Too
for
hard.
this movie, and he didn't get the film that he deserved to be in.
Yeah,
He deserved
definitely.
way much better. And
Yeah.
he worked too hard for just a mediocre biopic. It's just another biopic. And even mediocre biopic, it doesn't even do that well properly for me.
Yeah,
Um,
I think because the reason why it's doing well is as a movie producer, whatever, is a great movie in terms of like the money that they put in the movie, everything they put together, like picture wise, is perfect. Jafar, like 100%, like I can't say anything bad about him. Everything that he nailed it, like he did everything perfect. But as you say, he worked so hard for something like it's a shame because we're never gonna have another movie like that because Michael Jackson is hard to explain Michael Jackson life by another like movie artist or whatever actor because when it comes from his family, his blood is different. Because when I see Jafar, sometimes he didn't need to use too much makeup because he actually looked like Michael as well. You know what I
yeah,
mean? After surgery, that was his own nose, like, because you don't have like a big nose. Like, he just worked so hard for that. Everything was perfect. The voice, I don't know if they mixed the voice or not, but I don't know. Like, when I was watching the movie, sometimes I forget like it was Jafar. That's one thing I gotta give the credit is when you watch the movie, sometimes you actually, it's hard to connect to Jafar. You disconnect to Jafar. Sometimes you
yeah.
just feel like this is Michael that you're actually watching. And that was the best thing about the movie. I think it was that. But beside that, me as a fan, it's like I was enjoying that because we missed Michael Jackson. The music was there, yes, the moment, but I already know the routine. I just feel like they missed just too much. Like the conversation with Motown, I think for me that really pissed me off because they should have given a little bit of feedback when they was watching the Michael. There was like maybe Barry Gordy was about I want to see those kids, they want to work hard, and it just like everything was just great. It's like the life was like Joe Jackson was just like the guy in the background just going crazy, and I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
And what part again we're gonna have to break down, and his relationship as well with woman, they haven't touched it. I wish they could have
Oh,
done it.
oh my God. I got so upset
The only
because
time you see him talk, he's
yeah,
talking like he's talking to a woman, and you say like he's an animal. I'm like,
yeah,
why?
that's the scene that won because the first of all they had one of my top three favorite songs from Michael is "I Can't Help It." So they have the instrumental in the background, and I'm like, "Oh, they play my favorite song." And then you hear him like talking to someone. He's like, "I'm gonna miss you," and I'm like, "Who's he talking to? Who's this
The
lady with
llama.
this song?" And it's just a llama. I was just like, "Really?"
They make him. I don't know, but I don't know. Now I understand how people are saying. I understand why Johnny Jackson or Paris Jackson wasn't really down for the movie. I don't know if it was for those reasons, but yeah, I think like
I
uh,
think it's for those reasons.
I
I think
think
it's
if
for
it's
those
for the
reasons.
visa, I totally agree because I feel like I think they haven't played justice. Like I feel like it was really pushed. They wanted just to sell music, and is it Tony Motola, right? The other guy, the producer, the manager. What was his name
Oh,
again? John
uh,
Branca.
yeah, John Branco.
Oh,
Yeah,
they
John
make him
Branco,
look like
the
a
the head the head of the state.
they make him look like an angel, man. Like
Yeah,
is
he's in every scene. He's everywhere with Michael. He's Michael's Cole D. He's the one that comes to visit him in the hospital, give him the Mickey Mouse. Yeah, he's just a round cool guy. He's just it's John Branco. Come on.
Yo, he's like he's a perfect guy. He's like the person that Michael Jackson wanted and he's like the one thing why you said to Michael Jackson said, I have a family, is like yo, sometimes you have to break away from your family and build a new one. That was a bit, you know what I mean? I know he's in control of a lot of things about his life right now, but I feel like they wanted to put themselves in a better position. So when they're gonna eat the cake, people gonna end and say, "Oh yeah, this guy was there for Michael, so he
Yeah,
deserved to do that." I feel like that was, and but his brother didn't have any place in his life. Nothing. The jealousy with Jermaine, all these things, relationship, nothing was there. I think everything was really rushed. And when we have to go near the end, I think, what do you think about the whole Billie Jean scene? Do you think it was pushed as well, or do you think they haven't marinated much?
I think as Michael would say, they didn't sizzle. They didn't
Yeah.
sizzle that scene.
You can't just
It was
drop Billie
fine,
Jean.
but there
Yeah.
was no build up to that. Like there was no scene of him saying, because another thing we didn't get in this whole movie was like we didn't see the you know the dedication to like, right, I'm making Thriller the biggest album of all time because I'm the greatest. This has to be better than Off the Wall. We didn't get any of that. And all those movements that Michael did, like having the Thriller video and doing the Billie Jean performance at Motown 25, those are all marketing ploys for Michael to make his album bigger than it should have been. And we didn't get those moments where it's like, you know what, I'm gonna do more Time 25. I wasn't gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it because I'm gonna do Be the Gene, and I know I'm gonna kill it, and people are gonna be intrigued, and they're gonna go check out my album. We didn't have any of that. He just did Be the Gene one day, and that was it. And then it was cut between other scenes as well, and yeah, it didn't feel exciting to me. I wasn't excited. I was like, yes,
Mm.
Michael, right, you're doing Billie Jean, let's go. There was no build up. It's just, yeah, here's another montage, here's another moment that you guys know, and we're just gonna try and recreate it scene by scene, frame by frame, to look like the original footage. That's what we've come to do, and you guys
Yeah,
get excited.
I feel like they spend too much time on doing like copy and paste of to mirror whatever music video was. They just I gotta give it to them. They did it like perfectly. I think they spent too much time doing that rather than I think they didn't want to upset the fan rather than actually the story. I think the thing is Michael Jackson when he talk about his life, he care a lot about children, about married to like about what can I say? um Childhood, like his childhood was really important for him, the relationship with people, traveling the world, going on tour, meeting people. They haven't even showed that part when they were traveling. They was touring. They talk about touring, but we don't. Come on, they invest a lot of money. Like when you make a movie,
Yeah,
show the tour, show like they're going around the world, like they're cruising
yeah.
cars,
There was
not just America. Like there was like a global.
Yeah, they didn't even show like different countries reacting to him. Like even if he
The
wasn't
whole
there,
movie,
just
they was in a
showing.
house. They was in a
Yeah,
house most of the time.
yeah, just in the house and then on the stage. But going back to Billie Jean, they tried to make that scene so perfect. So everybody knows that when Michael does the milk for the first time and he tries to stand on his toe, he
Yeah,
falls back
and he
and
falls by.
he complains about like, oh, it wasn't
Yeah,
perfect and I hated
yeah.
it. It's only when I spoke to Fred Astaire and some kid he met backstage and said they loved it, and that's when he felt okay about it. But in the film, the toe is perfect. He doesn't fall back. But then when it
Yeah.
cuts to the next scene where he's backstage with his family, before Joe comes and says, we're going to make some money, he says, oh, I wish I stayed on the toes longer. I'm like, but you did. We've seen you in the film standing on your toes longer. You didn't fall back. What are you talking about? Yeah, that annoyed me. I was like, they don't even know what they ride anymore and what they're shooting.
I think there's only one part that I really like. It was the Beat It. The Beat It, like the Beat It video. That was good when he was like having those gangster, talking to them. That was kind of cool. It was kind of fun.
Yeah,
See him,
it
and
didn't
then
feel it felt cheesy. It didn't feel real to
yeah,
me
it didn't feel
because
natural. And Michael Jackson, like, when he come out with those red jacket, like he's a gangster, be like, yo,
yeah,
boy, I'm
it
here,
felt
Mike.
I can see the gangsters all like getting like gassed about seeing Michael and like being starstruck. I can kind of see that, but the idea of Crips and Bloods in the same room
They
and
make it look
nobody's
so
fighting,
nice.
they're just doing dance battles, and then Michael
Yeah.
comes in. I was like, come on.
You
Give
guys,
me
you
the
big girl.
if you're gonna give me the real, just give me the
We
real.
should, we
There
should
was
fuck
probably
by
some
the music.
confrontation between the two, not there doing this and then doing dance battles and crip walking. No, there would have been a scuffle, and then Michael comes in, and then everyone calms down. There was nothing. They're all chilling, sitting next to each other as well. I was like, yeah, that
Yeah.
thing. They're trying to make Michael this like divine being that just unites people together, and everyone just forgets themselves. And there's a little bit of that in real life, but I think they've just gone over the top with it. Like it's not realistic. He was still a human like everyone else, and everyone else who was around him. Yeah, it just
Yeah, but what
yeah,
they don't understand is the hardest part, the most important part about Michael Jackson movie was this one, the one we watch, the one that come after. I don't know how they're gonna put it together, but this is like a lot of ups
yeah,
and downs. But the most important was this part because this part is the foundation of his life. Everything that happened after is because of this. So
yeah,
if they kind of mess around with this one, I don't know. I don't know what's
yeah.
gonna come because I don't know. Go on.
I have to admit, I have very small faith in the second one because this was the easiest story to tell. Part one should have
The
been
cleanest as well.
this should have been knock out the park. This shouldn't have been. It's simple. Like, give me the backstory. Show me the creative side of Michael. Show me his dedication to the craft that so much that he thinks he can do it by himself, and him like speaking, positive energy to himself. Just show me that. Show me what leads him to think. You know what? I don't f with adults because I don't trust them. They're after one thing, and I can relate more to children. Show me that, and it didn't. So when they get to the second one, which is quote unquote the complicated side, I don't know how they're going to handle it. For me, they are going to butcher it, and they're just going. It's just going to be a narrative because there was a narrative controlled in this movie.
Yeah, I think the narrative they're pushing is never because they're ready though. They're pushing Neverland, and they're pushing like childhood relationship with his father. Because I know where they're going. The money part, they're gonna push it like Joe Jackson was a bad guy. That's why Michael Jackson trusts the industry or whatever, whatever. It's gonna be tough because fans. I don't know how if we're gonna feel the same about the second part because we kind of know the truth. And I feel like this movie was gonna be in three part. One part was gonna be solid, like growing up, Gary, Indiana, Jackson 5, you know, until maybe when he start the solo album or whatever, they stop there. And the second part, they have to be like solid, like bad thriller, like just like deep into that until maybe bad. I would say the end of bad, slight dangerous. And this third part, they have to be like dangerous and until till the end if we have to squeeze it. But even like two movie, I feel like actually not enough. How you gonna start? We haven't even seen Smooth Criminal yet. How
Is honestly the part two. What they're gonna do is we're not gonna. I'm telling you guys I'm telling you this now, and whoever watches this, remember this date that I said this. The first 5 minutes of part two is just going to be a montage of bad. That's what it's going to be. We're going to skip. They're going to skip bad. I'm telling you now. It's going to be a montage of him going on world tour, singing different songs from Bad. You're going to hear Another Part of Me. You're going to hear Dirty Dana. And then you're going to see clips from him like coming back to the States to do Moonwalker, Smooth Criminal. It's going to be a montage. That's how they're going to skip Bad. And then the actual acting and them having a conversation is when they get to Dangerous. It's like, right, we're working on the third album. What's Michael doing in his personal life? They're going to skip Bad. I'm telling you now, that's what's going to happen. They're
Yeah, but
going to skip it.
if they skip bad, you're gonna go to like to dangerous. Dangerous, that's a dangerous time as well.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah,
dangerous, we're talking
but that's now the dramatic.
1993.
But in terms of like anything like concrete and having dialogue and having dramatic
Yeah.
scenes, they're going to skip Bad. It's going to be a montage, a 5 minute montage.
Why do you
I
think
think
they
this
should skip? Why do you think they're gonna skip it? Why?
because now the next film, obviously, I don't know where they're going to end the film. If they're going to end the film in part two of when he passes away, and it's another 2 hour movie, there's still a lot to story to tell. So we're gonna just skip Bad. Bad is gonna be so quick. It's gonna be done like that. Trust me. It's gonna be the same. Okay, the same way we saw Jackson 5 when they were showing him like with his brothers. They were in the bus, and then they went one place, and they went to one place, and he performed here. That's what Bad is gonna be in the first 5-10 minutes of the movie. And then it's going to calm down when it gets to Dangerous. He's in the studio, he's finished Dangerous. They're talking about going on the tour for that one. And then we might see the allegations. And then he gets over the allegations. Then he meets Lisa Marie Presley. They divorces Lisa Marie Presley. Then he gets his kids. And then he does the Invincible. And then we get the next allegation. That's how they're going to do it. Honestly, that's how
You
they're going to
forgot
do
the
it.
history part as well. You know the history.
Even that, they're going to kind of skip
Yeah,
through that
they're
as
gonna
well.
skip that,
Yeah,
and
I think they're gonna because if that film was 2 hours as well, they're gonna skip
yeah, I
past.
feel like they kind of wasted time. I feel like I don't know how they because I feel like the second part is busier than the first part.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah. There's a lot.
the first part they didn't need a lot of dialogue. They just needed a little bit of details. The first part, but the second part, people just don't need music. We need a lot of content, not just music. We need a lot of untold story. The
Yeah.
Debbie Rory, the relationship, and then I know the good thing about the movie as well. They did mention about the the medication, for the painkiller that you're always having because it's. Oh, what do you think about that scene? By the way, the Pepsi. What do you think?
Oh, the scene with Pepsi.
Yeah.
It was all right. It was fine. I didn't feel anything. The only time I felt something in that whole film was when Joe disciplined Mike when he was a kid. That was the only time I felt something. I was like, oh my God, oh gosh, it probably threw me out about when I saw the Pepsi thing. I was like, yeah. And because I've seen it before so many times, I was like, yeah, okay. That's
Oh,
okay.
really? What
Yeah,
was
I
your
didn't
discipline about the thing?
say again, sorry.
I said, what part are you saying? You're talking about?
So the scene when they have their first gig and they
Yeah.
go back home and Kath was like, right, go to bed. And Joe's like, no, we're going to rehearse. We're rehearsing. And little Michael says, but we did good. We did good. I don't think we need to rehearse. We did good. And Joe says, oh, you think we did good? Yeah, come here. And he takes off his belt and beats him. And then Michael goes into the bathroom and he cries. I thought that was great. I really felt that. I was, oh my God, my heart is broken. Oh my God, I feel so sorry for this little kid. But when I saw Pepsi, I was like, okay. Too
Yeah,
late for anything.
the Pepsi one he got burned and everything, and they turned him to the hospital. This is what you're gonna do, and you're gonna wear a wig. But you think about the wig part. What do you think it was? You think like that was like when they explain it, break it down. Why is he gonna wear the wig or that? Do you think it was great?
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, because that's what happened. So I didn't have any issue with it. I guess it's them just setting up like, right, this is why he has different hairstyles and this is why, all the allegations of all the drugs he took is going to take place because of this incident. So I just saw they were just setting things up for the next film. So it didn't bother me. I was like, yeah, it's fine. But I didn't feel anything. I didn't like go, oh my God, Michael, I'm so sorry. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Let's move on from this.
Yeah, man. For I don't know if what we have to add again about this movie. What do you think? There's a part that we haven't add in terms of like our review. Okay, 10 out of okay, out of 10. How would you rate this movie?
It's a 5 for me.
Hmm.
It's a 5, maybe a 6, a generous 6, maybe, but yeah, a 5.
Yeah.
And that's solely based on Jafar. Jafar Jackson, I thought, did a superb performance. I thought the performance was just top notch. There's not fault from him at all. Even Giuliano, who played young Michael, I thought, because I went in thinking I don't think he's going to be great. From what I saw in the trailers, but the scenes that he did have, like especially that scene I just mentioned about him and Joe and he going into the bathroom crying, I thought he did those scenes very, very well. And even when he did like him in the studio and he was obviously miming, singing Michael Jackson songs, I thought he did them really well. So those two, I think if people who haven't seen this film, I think you should go and see it for those two reasons, just to check those performances, especially those are both of them. That's their first movies that they've ever done. Like this is the first time acting, and it was that level. It just makes me think like if they were acting for 10 years, how would that have been? If this is what they're doing now, and they only had such a short time to get ready for this film, they did a phenomenal job. I wasn't a fan of Coleman Domingo as much. I thought he was very two dimensional. I mean, one
Yeah.
dimensional.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just came a very cartoon villain. He was that scene where he's cackling with Don King when they're talking about right, this we're gonna make this tour. I just thought this is just silly, and they're sitting there
Yeah.
with the cigarette with the fireplace, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
what is going
Yeah.
on? Who wrote this?
Yeah, I think they made Michael Jackson look. I think Joe Jackson. I mean, I like Joe, but the thing is, they make him look so much like a bad person. I know he was bad, but he was still his father. It was just too much. You know what I mean? He
Mm,
didn't show the Joe where he wanted to manage. Because the thing that people have to understand about Joe Jackson is, as much as he wanted to make money, he really wanted to get his family out of Gary, Indiana. He really meant it. Like when he said to Michael, like, "Oh, you guys talk about struggle? Are you tired? Yeah, are you gonna spend the rest of your life working like the way I'm working right now?" This is the reality that we're living right now in 2026, 2026. People are now, they're working 9 to 5 every single day. You see video of people online crying because people are tired of the type of life that we're living right now. We
yeah,
all wish we could do better and live a better life. And this was his mentality that time. He's just a kid. You tired? You want to live like me the rest of your life? You know what I mean? So it is what it is, man. So yeah, I think I'll meet you with that as well. I'll give you a 5 out of 5 as well. I feel like
Oh,
Jafar, everything
you
was
mean five
perfect.
out of ten? You said
Out of
5 out
10,
of 5. Yeah,
sorry. Of
let's say
course,
that's a perfect
five.
film.
No. 5 out of 10 as well. I think I would give it the same because I feel like Jafar, it is. But what do you think about the Jackson family? Do you think there was honest about it, or do you think there was more BS? Like you want to see them in the premiere and all everything. Like, how do you feel like about like you experienced the whole thing? Do you
I
think
mean,
they
I
was
look
really
back.
happy
Okay,
about this?
there was obviously I'm giving some insight at the
But you know
premiere.
how
So
Jermaine is. Jermaine, everything involved Jermaine, I can't trust it. I'm sorry.
well, Jermaine at the Berlin premiere.
It was
So
a bit cold though.
no, there was something he said. So when they interviewed him at the premiere, because he got into like there was like a main stage at the premiere that were bringing people up, and he had said to the guy that was interviewing him is that I haven't seen the movie yet. And
Oh,
then literally, yeah, at the premiere before we went in to watch the movie, he had said, I quote, I have not to watch the movie yet. But then in a few seconds later, he says, Jafar is phenomenal in the movie. Well, so well, how do you know if Jafar is phenomenal in the movie if you haven't watched it yet? So me personally, I feel like some of them hadn't watched it prior. They just waved a check at them and said, here's some money to make you guys executive producers. And honestly, the Jacksons at this age, they don't care. It's not like they're touring it. They're not really like, it's not gonna mess up their, you know, their reputation anymore. They don't care at this point. So if we can make some easy money and people go and watch it and we go red carpet, we get flown out and we talk about, hey, how good our nephew is. And we just keep it moving. And that's probably why Jenna was like, I can't do that. I have to be honest with myself. If I'm not cool with the project, please don't bring me involved. Don't sign my name or anything. I want to step away from it. And that's fine. I see this similar to James Cameron with Terminator movies. So if anyone doesn't know, James Cameron directed Terminator 1 and Terminator 2. And those films are phenomenal. And he didn't direct Terminator 3, Terminator 4, Terminator Genesis. But because he's always put down as the executive producer, and every time they interview him before those films come out, he always says those films are fantastic. They are just as good as Terminator 1 and Terminator 2. And that is never the case. And that proves to me that they just paid him to say the movie's fantastic so people go and watch it. Because if James Cameron is saying those Terminator movies are good, then they must be good. You know, he wrote them, he created that franchise, so they must be good. And that's what they've done with this movie. The brothers just going, yep, it's fantastic. But if you noticed, the brothers never talk about the film. They only talk about Jafar. They always talk about is Jafar. Jafar is amazing. He looks like he became Michael. They never talk about the film itself. And the embargo, so no, in case people don't know what embargo is, so when critics watch a film early, before they can put the review out, they have to wait a particular day and date to put the review out. And usually, from my experiences, a film that's not necessarily good, the embargo always lifts a day before the film comes out. If the film is really, really good and the studio who's making the film really believe this film is good, the embargo will be like 2 weeks before the film comes out. She's already hearing from critics that they've watched the film 2 weeks ago and it's amazing and it's this and it's that before the film comes out. Michael's embargo was the day before it came out at 2:00 in the afternoon. So that's when I dropped my review. So before it came out on the 22nd, that's when so that's never a good sign because they're trying to, they know that potentially they don't have a good product and they probably know the critics not going to love it. So they always try to pull it closer to the day. I've been to films where the embargo was on the day of release. So it's like, it's too late then.
Yeah, true
So
that.
the
But do you
signs were
think
there.
do you think what do you think about the media how can I say the media feedback now, the rating? Do you think is a the whole numbers that they're getting?
I am disappointed by some of the critics' rating because when I've read the reviews for some of them, it's nothing constructive about the film. They are talking about things that weren't mentioned in the film. So they took, for example, most of them are talking about the allegations are not in the movie, which doesn't make sense to me
It
because
doesn't make
first
sense
of
because we didn't reach that time.
yeah, but not even that. Everyone who works in this industry, who is a journalist, who is a film critic, already know that they already know from a year ago they filmed all those scenes and due to legal reasons they couldn't show them, so they had to reshoot and change the film. We know this already. So for you to just now be 1 year later saying where's the allegations when you know what happened last year, because all of them reported it. Everyone was reporting that, oh, Michael has got to do reshoots because of legal reasons. They filmed this, but they can't show it anymore. So you already know. So the fact that people are still asking those questions, like, where's the allegations? Even if you don't know the time frame, you knowing the story from last year, whatever was reported, and still asking now, where's the allegations? It just doesn't. It feels like you are trying to set an agenda out to the audience. Like you know exactly what you're doing. Because for me, that's just silly. Like we all know there was reshoots. Everyone knows this. Like my mum knows this by now. There was reshoots. This film was supposed to come out last year. And everyone's forgot that. It was supposed to come out last year. It was supposed to come out last year, October. That was the date they had originally. And they had to reshoot the whole movie because of the allegations that they can't use anymore because of legal reasons. So we know this already. So yeah, I was just like, yeah, this is coming off very biased. Some of these reviews coming off biased. And they weren't critiquing the movie. They were talking about scenes that wasn't there. I'm like, well, okay, the scenes that were there, what did you think of them? They didn't talk about that. So I was like, so some of them, and for me, it ruins the credibility of a critic. So people are not going to go to Rotten Tomatoes anymore to look at the scoring because they'll be like, well, I can't trust you because firstly, you didn't even give a fair review. You didn't even talk about the movie. You talk about stuff that wasn't in the movie. So that just ruins it for other critics who are trying to give a fair review. I feel like for me, I tried to give a fair review. Yes, I am an MJ fan, but I had to look at it as a film,
Yeah.
over as a film, and because I already knew the hardcore fans were going to watch it anyway. I don't need to
Yeah,
convince you.
Like, if you have to retitle the movie, it was more like how to grow away from your father, or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, it was more like a father-son relationship. You know what I mean? That toxic father relationship with his son. That's pretty much what the movie was about. So it's a very disappointing. But if Joe
Yeah.
Jackson was alive, I don't think this movie was gonna happen. He was not gonna let that happen the way they actually portrayed the movie, because that was kind of like he wasn't really paying homage to what he did. If we have to put some respect as a black man for what he did for their family, for the Jackson, I feel like they kind of like brush you away. I know he was a bad person, but they haven't portrayed the hard work that he put. I think that's yeah. But the mother,
I
Catherine
don't
Jackson, the
I
actress,
don't
I don't
think
know how she called, but she was perfect.
I don't think Joe's even a fully bad person. I think he's
No.
complicated like everyone else is.
Yeah.
Because if he was a bad person, why does some of the family members stick up for him? He's complicated. I think he showed a little bit. I think he probably showed too much abuse and didn't show enough love. But he did show moments where they were like, you know what? I didn't always understand him, but I appreciate him. We didn't get that.
Yeah, we didn't get that. We didn't. Well, I wish we had a little, because I know Joe Jackson have some friends as well. I wish we have a little bit of more like his time, how he feel. Like, we didn't have that. His kids, they knew him though. You know what I mean? They didn't even give a little bit of something. You know how special it is when everybody's kind of still alive and you can actually tell the story Jafar no, but yeah. And then again, when the movie's made only by the person that's putting the money, he have his own narrative. So
Yeah.
yeah, but that's the shame. But that's what they wanted to do. And Catherine Jackson, she was more like a mother. I mean, she was. I mean, they make her look more like. I think they kind of did it the right way. She was like a woman who was there to protect the kids, but she didn't have the power to protect the kids. She felt at the movie. She felt like she failed Michael, and
Oh,
he's like,
oh, oh, oh! Forget the film. In real life, she failed Michael many
I
times.
think she failed Michael many times. I think she's I don't know. She's just there.
And the thing is, the film, the
She's
way they made
powerless.
Joe, the way they made Joe in that movie, you can't convince me based on what I saw in the movie that he didn't hit Catherine.
I was expecting that.
Yeah, there was
It's the
one
same.
scene when he said, "What did you
There's
say to
one
me,
scene.
woman?"
Yeah, we
Yeah,
see.
what did you
I was
say
like,
to me,
yo,
woman?
slap
He's
the
gonna hit
shit
her.
out of here, man.
Yeah, but
I was like, it gonna happen, but it doesn't happen. I was like,
yeah,
they
I was
push
like,
it.
yeah, because the way they're portraying him, like, if he can do it to his kids, he's hitting his woman, 100%.
Yeah,
Like the
because the
woman
reason,
can't talk back to him.
yeah, yeah, because the thing is, the reason why she was so afraid of him, if it didn't make sense though. The only reason you're gonna be so afraid of a man like that if he beat you up, because if he doesn't, it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. Because she was so, I'm like, you love him still, having a lot of kids, stay with him, but there was something was in there. I think they never talk about it as well, about him being his. I think they never really mentioned that, but mm, anyway, but
Just because for me, that is the architect of Michael Jackson. If someone asked me who is Michael Jackson, that's the album I'm gonna play.
okay.
Because after that album, that's what Michael kind of repeated. Every album after Bad, he kind of, that was like the prototype, right? I'm going to create another Bad. I'm going to have a song about, saving the world, charity song. I'm going to have a song about, personal things about, people, paranoia, paparazzi, you know, a love song. He kind of followed the same formula after Bad for me personally. So Bad is that album for me. And it's a,
So, what is your best Michael Jackson music video and why of all
Oh,
time?
see, I had this conversation with someone the other day. See,
Yo,
it's not smooth. I'll tell you now, it's not Thriller. It's not Smooth Criminal
it's
either.
not Smoker. Okay, which one is it then?
It's Leave Me Alone.
Oh, I know where you're coming from with that. Knowing who you are, I understand that. Tell me why. Why?
I think I think in terms of, first of all, visually, I've not seen a video like Leave Me Alone. I've
Hmm,
seen like little segments here and there,
hmm.
but I've never seen anything like Leave Me Alone. I think it's such a unique video. And like I said, if I was to introduce somebody new, if somebody asked me, who is Michael Jackson? What's Michael Jackson all about? Why is it such a big deal when, if you try to like tell Michael in like one video, that tells you everything you need to know. The hysteria, the complications, the conspiracies, just everything is in that video. The fact that Michael is represented like he's a fun fair, and you got all these paparazzi who are dogs, riding on him, and then he comes out of it triumph. That's Michael Jackson. So Leave Me Alone is that video for me.
Okay, that's a really good one. So which song was written for Prince? I would say Smooth Criminal, Bad Dirty Diana, Liberian Girl. Which
It
one was
was
written?
it was bad.
Okay. And the other one, what year was Thriller released?
1983.
No, 1982, man.
No, it's 1983.
Sure.
Yeah, 1983, December 1983. We could check out. I could be wrong, but I'm very sure it's 1983. And then 1984 is where the album picked up and everyone started talking about it. But I'm very sure it was 1983. I could be wrong. Maybe it is 1982.
Thriller album, 82.
82. Okay, fair dues.
All right, that was not like, okay, we're just gonna go for like a song now. That's what everybody like. Okay, Billie Jean Beat It. Who do you go for?
Billie Jean.
Billie Jean.
Yeah, Beat It is not. It's not that great. Let's be frank. It's not that great. It's not a great song. There's
Really?
no. Yeah, I don't think it's that great.
Why?
In terms of like, it's a very simple song. The lyrics doesn't have. There's no story. There's not like in terms of Billie Jean, like the story of Billie Jean. No, forget the beat. Forget the beat.
No, the
Forget the
guitar.
instrumentals. Forget all that. Just the lyrics. Just the contents of the song.
You wanna stay alive.
Nah, see that's no.
Really?
It's fun. Like put it this way, if you are in a car and it's late night and you're driving your car through London City, going past the congestion charges, and you're just driving, what song are you putting on? You're not putting on Beat It. I'm telling you now, you're putting on Billie Jean. You're putting Billie Jean on. You're not putting Beat It.
But summertime, you're feeling yourself. You're like,
No. I put something else. I would not put Beat It on. Beat It is cool, but if you're asking me between the two, it's Billie Jean, man.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
man.
so Billie Jean, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna go Don't Stop Till You Get Enough for that one.
Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, Rock With You.
Oh, Rock With You, because Rock With You is like in my top 5 songs. So Rock With You.
Rock With You, Thriller.
Rock With You.
Rock With You, Smooth Criminal.
Rock With You.
Rock With You, Man in the Mirror.
Rock With You.
Rock With You, Heal the World.
Rock With You.
Rock With You, Human Nature.
Human Nature.
Human Nature, Wanna Be Started Something.
Human Nature.
Human Nature, Dirty Diana.
Oh, oh no.
I don't know why people love this song so much, Dirty Diana.
I went, oh no, because Human Nature and Dirty Diana are in my top 3 songs.
Go on, which one?
Human Nature. Human Nature.
Human Nature. Well, this is an easy one. Say.
Oh, Human Nature. Even though I do like Say.
Human Nature, Black or White.
Human Nature.
Human Nature, Remember the Time.
Human Nature.
Human Nature, You Work My Word.
Oh, Human Nature.
Human Nature, Speechless.
Human Nature.
Human Nature, Jam.
Human Nature. Come on.
Human Nature, really?
Yeah, okay. Human Nature for Jam, please.
Wow, Human Nature, what song we have to choose now? Leave Me Alone.
Still Human Nature. Human Nature is my number 1 song from NJ.
Human Nature, Stranger in Moscow.
Stranger in Moscow is a phenomenal song, but it's still Human Nature. I'm sorry.
All right, then. So, wow, I think we'd have to stop there, man.
Yeah, just talk about Human Nature.
Human Nature is the best Michael Jackson song.
Yeah, it's my favorite song from him. So,
well, you know what, Steven, it was really nice to have you today, man. I think we have a good chat. And yeah, it was really good, but I wish we could have it with all of us in the chat. But that was really fun, man. So I appreciate for everybody that listened to this. If you want to get in touch with Steven, I think I'm gonna put the link as well in the description. If you can check his page, he talk about a lot of movies, not just Michael Jackson. But I'm happy because at least you were honest, and I was honest as well. I really didn't know if I have to do this one because I feel like I'm not trying to bash Michael Jackson, but I feel like we have to be honest about this. You know what I mean? We love the vibe, we love Jafar 1000%, but the movie for us is like 5 out of 10. But for people who never watch, who don't know Michael Jackson, maybe they might give you a little bit more or less, whatever. But it just depends, you know what I mean? If you're a Michael Jackson fan, it's very hard for you
I
to give
just
an
think
opinion.
as a movie it just deserves better. Like people
Mm,
deserve better. You not deserve, you not pay hard cash. People went to watch this in
portrayed.
IMAX, and IMAX is not cheap at all. It's not the average screening you go to. So give me something worthwhile. You
They
lot
make a
deserve
lot of
that.
money
Not
with the
Yeah,
IMAX, yeah.
not mediocre level surface stuff, especially when it comes to Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, who was a perfectionist, who put all his heart and soul to everything he did, even if it never came out the way he wanted it to. He put everything in it, and I don't think they put everything in it. It's just very layered, simple, just to make a quick buck, and
Mm.
that's the issue. So
Yeah, man. It is what it is. Anyway, thank you again for having you today, man. So thank you
I
again,
appreciate it,
and
man.
see you next time.
See you later.